Brooke White and Yellow. Sinabi mo, explain mo yung lyrics, di ba? So, ano ba yung yellow lang narinig ko doon.
Which is actually the whole point of the song. Kasi ako before then, I was thinking, this is really a silly song. I mean, I don't even know what yellow talks about. But then, I have a friend who's very good in philosophy who explained it to me. And I think her explanation really made the song beautiful. Because she was saying you have to think of it along the lines of Van Gogh's Starry Night. I don't know if you know that painting, but basically it has swirls of yellow to depict the stars. And basically the explanation is supposedly for Van Gogh, he was looking at the stars and was overwhelmed with the beauty of the stars, that the only way that he could translate it is through bursts of yellow because it was overwhelming beauty, diba? So, nakikita niya yung bursts of yellow na. So, if you hear this song, parang, diba, look at the stars, look how they shine for you, and everything you do, they were all yellow. So, the person singing this is saying that because of their love for the other person, it's an overwhelming or bursting feeling of love that nakikita niya puro yellow. Which is supposedly the color daw for happiness and
Liberal Party. Sorry.
But,
blue.
So basically, yun. So this person, every time makita niya yung kumakanta, every time makita niya yung other person na everything they do or everything they would do for them, kaya may line din doon na I drew a line for you and all the things you do and they were all yellow. Puro nakikita niya bursts of yellow kasi it's all overwhelming happiness.
So magaling pala talaga. Malalim pala si Coldplay. Ano ba?
Yun nga sabi ko, I wonder if that's
Okay.
I forgot his name.
Basta si Coldplay.
I also like his song Payphone.
ang alam ko lang si sa Coldplay yung asawa niya yung artista.
Yes.
Gwyneth Paltrow?
Yeah, Gwyneth Paltrow.
Hiwalay na sila, di ba?
Yeah. Sorry, I said a mistake. Pakitanggal na lang yung hindi pala Payphone yung
that's Payphone
is Maroon 5.
No, Payphone Maroon 5. They're also good. Wag natin alisin. Okay na yun. Okay, ako nagkakamali. Tao lang po. Kahit na abogada, di ba? McBride. Who is Mr. McBride? Who is this guy?
Okay, I don't know. He's stalking me. No, I'm just kidding. That's my husband, and I haven't been using his surname yet, which he finds to be an issue.
Appalling.
He gave me until 2014 dapat to change to McBride because both his sisters-in-law dropped their maiden surnames and changed to McBride. But I suppose that's the American way. But for me, I really don't look like a McBride. Pag naging Karen McBride ako, baka ma-deceive yung mga kausap ko. And as a lawyer, sometimes you just correspond over email or telephone conference before you meet them. So baka malito sila pag nakita nilang Karen McBride. What's yung blonde hair and blue eyes? But
pa-blonde mo hair mo.
Sabi nila, you're a poser. No? So basically, that's one issue na mahirap kasi ayaw niya na may hyphen. But second, it's also not instant. Like, you cannot change to even a Jimeno McBride without filing the necessary requirements with the Philippine Supreme Court. And then if I do that, ko attorney McBride ako dito or attorney Jimeno McBride, I have to do that in New York din. Or else, ang weird na
So, ang dami palang proseso, no?
Marami. So, parang nakakatawa.
Pero passport mo, McBride na.
Hindi, Jimeno pa rin. But my driver's license may hyphen na. Jimeno McBride na siya.
Your husband is also a lawyer or
no, he's in private equity and they invest around the world, but in the Philippines they are the foreign owners of To Go Shipping, and then they're also developing a project in Clark in front of the Desnado Macapagal Airport.
Is he based here in Manila now or is he somewhere in the States?
He also flies abroad for work, pero he also spends a lot of time here in the Philippines, especially because he also helps manage To Go Shipping.
Yeah, because I was gonna ask yung relationship, di ba? Hirap na, abroad, di ba? Tapos bagong kasal kayo and one works, for example, in New York and one is here. But so he manages to go. That's a boy piece, right?
No,
Avoid this one?
so they bought Negros Navigation initially, and then they also bought around nung 2010, I think, that they bought Aboitiz Shipping. And then they combined the two shipping lines and named it To Go. So it's To Go, it's both logistics and also passenger shipping.
All right. Let's move on to our next question. What are the lessons that you learned dun sa CJ Corona impeachment?
Well, that was a really good learning experience. One, I learned a lot about, of course, trial techniques from no less than Justice Cuevas, who passed away, unfortunately, this year. But apart from that, I also learned na things really... there's a big difference when you look at procedure, which is what's written, and how it's actually conducted in real life, especially when you have other factors like politics come into play. So as much as maybe for me, I was very idealistic at that time kasi kakabalik ko pa lang from the US when I joined the trial, it was playing in a certain way in my head na ito yung magiging process and ito yung dapat magiging decision because this is what's written in our laws and in the Constitution. But this is when you realize na you really have to also take into account other factors to know the outcome. And in this case, regardless of what the Constitution provides, or even if we all turn blue arguing on what the impeachable grounds are, at the end of the day, it's really a decision based on that will really factor in kung ano yung political climate at that time. Because this is not an ordinary trial eh. So you have senator judges sitting as judges. So dun pa lang hindi magiging pare-pareho yung view on how to interpret the Constitution and the laws because they're not trained as lawyers. I think majority of the senator judges were not lawyers. And second, later on, you have even no less than a senator judge giving a privileged speech saying that they were offered money to convict.
Yes.
And that was Senator Jinggoy Estrada. Pero for me, natatawa lang ako nun because when I heard how much, kasi when one of our lawyers, si Attorney Judd Roy, had a press conference during that time, he was naming an amount nung time na the trial was still ongoing. And then when Senator Jinggoy Estrada gave a privilege speech, which was already almost 2 years after, pareho yung amount na sinasabi. So I even texted Attorney Judd that time na,
Tama ka.
Attorney Judd, tama pala yung sinasabi mo ha? Nagtugma pa yung amount. Sabi niya, ikaw ayaw maniwala sa akin. Sabi ko, bamalay ko ba sinong source mo? But for me, honestly, whatever is good for the country, if no matter what the Constitution provides, kung hindi nasunod yung proseso, that should be a learning experience for us, that if we agree on a process, we also have to have the one, political maturity, and second, the discipline to follow that, because you can't change laws over time. But if you get into the habit of changing laws based on what is convenient for you at the time, then you are actually breeding a very unpredictable atmosphere that is not law-based. It will be based on the whim of the people at that moment. So, magkakaroon ka ng rule of the mob. So, I think the learning experience from that is if the process does not fit what we need, basically if we find that the grounds for impeachment are too high in order for us to get a good Chief Justice or other impeachable officer, then let's adjust the rules. But you need that predictability. Kasi parang sinasabi mo, pwede kang maghatak ng tao and try him for estafa, biglang i-convict mo for murder. So, yun yung difference dyan eh, na predictability, stability, it really boils down into, one, the process you put in place, and following that process.
Ang tanong doon kung yellow mob yan. Hindi, pero tama ka, predictability. That's one of the reasons why a lot of foreign investors are discouraged to invest because diba nagbabago yung... Anyway, mahabang usapan yan. Lessons learned dito naman sa Yolanda Rehab.
Okay, Yolanda Rehab, I think lessons learned are both good and bad. Let's go to the good. And for me, one is really the resiliency of the Filipinos. I'm amazed kasi Typhoon Yolanda is still to this date the strongest typhoon to make landfall in recorded history. So it's currently yung generation natin and our government has had to face this type of challenge of rebuilding from Yolanda for the first time in our history. And even other countries or even other international organizations that we've met are interested in the outcome of how yung mga methods that we're applying to rehabilitate, because they said it can be part of the best practices that we can share with other countries.
A good case study, huh?
Oo, because wala pang naka-experience nung challenge sa atin. But apart from the Filipino resiliency, for me, lessons learned would be we have to really face the fact that we have to build up our disaster risk reduction and management mechanisms. Kasi our laws are not prepared for it. Can you believe, Martin, we have laws that still require taxes on donations, custom duties on donations in kind. And yan yung mga naging bottlenecks ng paglabas ng ibang mga donations from customs or even pagbigay dun sa mga areas. But also, hindi siya responsive for a disaster because even if magka-declaration ka ng state of national calamity, releasing the calamity fund, haba-haba ng proseso na kailangan mo sundin just to get approval and then budget release. So, we have to take a second look kasi right now, we're actually number 3 in the world as the most disaster risk prone. We're after Tonga and Vanuatu. Pero ang liliit lang na islands nun eh. So, if you're looking at the number
islands.
of...
Pacific Islands, right?
So, in terms of number of people and size of the country, tayo yung number 1 in the world
Kasi
eh. So,
maraming tao sa atin, di
oo,
ba?
plus,
Tonga tsaka Vanuatu,
ang
konti
liit lang nun. So, we have to really start investing. Kasi tayo parang sanay na tayo na babahayan kasi ulan. Pero when are we really going to reduce yung... Kasi just because marami tayong natural hazards like bagyo, volcano, earthquake, it doesn't mean na may disaster dapat. Pagka binabaan mo yung poverty, tinaasan mo yung rate ng may insurance din, or yung ability to bounce back will also increase. So, iba ang disaster from natural hazard. Pagka walang nakatira ng malapit sa vulkan or walang nakatira sa mga binabaha at inaabot ng storm surge, then wala kang casualties, diba? That's the difference between the two. And kailangan natin mag-invest in that.
Hindi pa nga pinag-uusapan yung diba? Yung West Valley Fault.
Oh.
My goodness. Pero, I mean, this is just...
the tip of the iceberg, yeah.
Tip of the iceberg. Another story for another day. It's gonna be long. Okay, dito naman tayo sa medyo light. From serious to light. How do you define being cool?
That's a hard question, no? Kasi it can be subjective. But for me, I think being cool is, one, knowing your sense of identity. But second, also maximizing your talents and skill set and applying that for a good purpose. So, parang hindi siya cool, diba? But I'm saying that in a sense na, kasi, kaya magkakaiba yung concept ng cool because for an athlete, a cool person would be one who excels in your field, diba? But then, may iba naman na very artistic. May iba naman intellectual. So, that's my point. Cool people are those na they know what they're good at and then they maximize those skills and put it to good use. So, and that includes pagka you're gonna be good in what you do if you balance that with the other aspects of your life. Nice. So, meaning marunong ka mag-enjoy rin. You have fun. You spend time with your family. Kasi maraming iba, ang galing-galing nila sa work, pero if you look at their personal lives, it's a failure because wala naman silang dine-devote doon.
Yeah, because naisip ko kasi, you've been studying most of your life, and are you wearing contact lenses? Or
No.
Galing,
Nagpa-laser.
diba?
No, may daya ako. No, kasi Martin, I also scuba dive. I'm actually advanced certified scuba diver. So, isa sa mga naging issues ko yun na parang pagka scuba diver ka kasi, kahit na konti lang mag-seep through na saltwater, mahapdi talaga. So, for me, sabi ko, I have to,
get the laser
and besides, I really like outdoors So I also ski. So yung mga, if you don't have to wear contact lens, mas yung...
Your mom must be a very cool person. Kasi di ba sabi mo, mentor mo siya, idol mo siya. Na nababalanse niya rin yung buhay.
Yeah. I would argue na cooler ako kasi may mga nagagawa ko hindi niya kaya gawin. Like, I bake as well.
So you bake, you dive, you swim, you do everything, you study. My goodness. You have everything. All right. How do you strike the balance, between studies, work, and being cool and yun nga kasi, I mean, do you have enough time
well
to do all of these things?
There was a quote I read before, but I can't remember. But basically, everyone's given 24 hours. But then it's not an excuse to always say that you don't have enough time because if you look at other people in history who've achieved so much, they were also given 24 hours. So, what I do na lang, wala akong, kaya nga yung tanong ng isang kaibigan ko, wala kang bang oras na tumutunganga ka lang? Sabi ko, wala.
Oo nga Wala ba?
Kasi wala. And I think that's a secret there na, wag ka na natunga. Kasi, like, ako, pagka minsan, nagbe-bake pa ako, tinatanong din ako na, kailan ka nagka-oras mag-bake? Pagka may time, so which would be like, kahit 3 a.m., pag maisipan ko mag-bake, I bake. So, I also make breads. And the time that it will rise, it usually takes 8 hours. So, gagawin ko siya bago ako matulog. Para pagising ko,
okay na.
Naka-rise na yung dough, ilalagay mo na sa oven. So, it's about time management talaga. And for me, I love, choose kasi, you have to set your priorities straight. Yun nga yung sinasabi, di ba? Milton Friedman. There's no free lunch in this world. It's an economic concept, but basically what they're saying is that if you're devoting time for something, then you're missing out on something. So you just prioritize. If you find yourself more on Facebook, like 2 hours on Facebook or whatever, then obviously you're doing less of other things. So for me,
Facebook-centric.
So just spend less of those and prioritize ko ng importante sa'yo.
Siguro OC ka, no?
OC where it matters, I hope. But sa akin, what I do rin, it helps to filter yung nagmamatter sa yung trabaho. Kaya ngayon, everything I do, I see the importance in it. So I don't mind working Monday to Sunday.
What is your favorite Filipino food?
Nako. I really love as in terms of actual dish, I like anything na may bangus kasi parang bangus never mo ata mahanap sa ibang bansa
Milkfish?
Yeah. Because when I was in the US, hindi ko siya mahanap, but I love bangus. And I also like paksiw. Paksiw na lechon.
Paksiw na bangus.
Well, masarap din yun. Pero paksiw na lechon is also one of my favorites.
Nice. Favorite color?
Pink.
Pink?
Yeah, kaya I have a laptop na
Favorite movie?
Braveheart. All time. Very good classic movie.
Mel Gibson. You look like you're going to be a fine legislator. Do you have any plans for politics?
No.
In the future? No.
Wala. I think, and it's not to be to say na being in politics is not a good thing, but I think for me, my comfort level is in the private sector, and one thing I've learned is that you can really do a lot of things even by being a member of the private sector. Although now I am working under the Office of the President on the rehabilitation. So this is also a time when I'm learning how the whole system works, tsaka ano interaction between the executive branch and the legislative and judicial branch.
And lastly, on this first part of our interview, kakaroon pa tayo ng second, third, fourth, kasi you're still young. Sinong mga pasasalamatan mong tao? If there are people you thank at this early stage in your life, who would these be?
Well, definitely my parents. And I know it's a common thing to say that, but for me, it's more than the basic necessities that they've given me. But by example, really, they've shown me what it means to, one, be a good lawyer, but also to be a good person. I have advocacies because growing up, my mom would always remind me, Karen, you have to have an advocacy. You also have to make sure that you help out other people. Money won't make you sleep better at night. So, yung mga ganong paulit-ulit yung sinasabi. And she has done it also by example. So it has a lot of credibility, and she's been a very good mentor and role model for me. And now that I'm working, ang dami ko na encounter na, since we're in the same field sa law, and even while working now with the government, ang dami ko nakikilala na mga kaibigan din nila or kakilala nila. And recently, I just thanked both of them and said, thank you for leaving a good reputation and being good to other people. Because I noticed, pag nalalaman ng iba, pag tinatanong ako, how are you related to either Nick or Linda, they would suddenly brighten up and be nicer to me. And can you imagine if you have parents who are jerks to other people? Siguro, as soon as mama, ay, anak pala to ni ano, baka biglang lalo kang iwasan. But for them, I see how nicer they are to me. So sabi ko, thank you for being good to other people, because it translates to people also interacting very well with me.
Thank you so much for your time, Attorney Karen Jimeno McBride. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Martin. Thank you. Pero idadagdag ko lang, I'd also like to thank Secretary Lacson, because when I said yes to working with this office for Yolanda, I did so by just looking at the cause. Kasi I really believed in the cause of helping out the people, all 171 cities and municipalities affected by Yolanda. And I didn't really know Secretary Lacson as much. But then, working with him, he's really a good example of a good public servant. Talagang work ethic, integrity. It made me realize na may people na nasa public service that can be very good role models then.
Wow. Here Comes the Sun. Why is this one of your favorite songs? And this will be the last song we will play for this episode.
Yeah, I love the Beatles. If you play Beatles songs to me at random, kaya kong sabayan halos lahat, because I grew up listening to it because of my dad, and I really like it also personally. But so I have a lot of favorite Beatles songs, but I think now this applies to me right now at this stage, because pagod na kami. I've been going back to the Yolanda affected areas since January pa. But now I'm really seeing a lot of improvement. Seryoso. And I know we have a long way to go. But this song applies to that. And I think the Philippines, kasi makita mo yung, regardless of how low we can go at times, there is always something to look forward to. And a better tomorrow, a brighter future. And this song, I think, sounds more like that.
Here we go. Here Comes the Sun by the Beatles. Thank you so much, Attorney Karen Jimeno McBride.
This Podcast.Ph presentation is supported by Martin Andanar's Homecast Studio and Audio.Ph.